Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the post-match press conference of the winning 2025 UEFA Europa League coach, Ange Postecoglu.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ali, let's start us off.
Congratulations, Ange. I mean, you've told these players throughout they were going to do something special this season. How does it feel to see that realised?
Yeah, look, it's hard sort of to put into words the emotions. Super proud of the players. It's a quote, my favourite Australian Prime Minister, Paul Keating, he said, after an unlikely victory, he said, this is one for the true believers. And this is certainly one for the true believers. And that means, an unbelievable group of players who never wavered, never lost faith in me and what we were doing. Unbelievable football staff led by brilliant coaches. People who work at the club, from board down, whether that's Lily White House or at the training ground, and supporters. I know people think I've got this sort of fractious relationship, but every supporter I ever bumped into was just so kind in reassuring me that, they believed in what I was doing. I'd never felt, I understand the disappointment we've put them through this year, particularly in the league, but, just seeing them tonight, the impact it has on them. Some of them, it's obviously 17 years since our last trophy, 41 in Europe. Some of them have never had a night like this. So, it's a reward for them. And, finally to my beautiful wife and my boys and my family, my friends who, they're all my inspiration because I'm kind of the front man. It's easy for me to sort of take on the responsibility, but they've got no choice but to come along for the ride, and just seeing them out there now on the pitch, smiling faces, couldn't be happier.
Ange, congratulations. I know you've not wanted to make this Europa League run about you, but is this your biggest achievement? You've had some amazing achievements in your career, but given the circumstances, given it sort of became this all or nothing match, is it your biggest achievement?
Look, I feel if I say that, then it diminishes, not for me, the other achievements, but the people I shared them with. But it's definitely been the toughest thing I've ever done, without a shadow of a doubt. And I knew that going into it. You know better than me that this club's had some unbelievable world-class coaches, world-class players, and they haven't had a night like this. So I knew what I was taking on. And it's fair to say that it's been really challenging because, wherever else I've had success by this stage, I've kind of had the faith and trust of everybody. And here it's been different. And I understand that's not a criticism. It's just, I think, because of the club and the way it's sort of its recent history or its history, I don't think they could always ever go all in on one person. And for me, that's always how it's worked well when, people kind of back my vision. So, but within that, I think when we got to sort of the end of January, the end of the transfer window, and I kind of assessed our situation, I just made a decision there and then that this was the trophy we were going to go for. And, it probably was at odds with what other people at the club sort of believed at the time we should do. And that's understandable. But I just really believed we could win. We could win this, and sort of everything we've done since then, everything we've done at training, everything we've done in terms of the games, the teams I've selected is about making sure when these games came around, the Europa games, that we're in the best possible condition to tackle them. And that's come at a cost for sure in the league, and I've got to take the responsibility for that. But I just felt like the end game of winning something was more important, and it was the only way I was going to do it.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
You've spoken about what a turning point this could be, the growth that the team can get from this victory. How hungry are you to drive this team forward, given the Champions League football next season?
Yeah, very, because we've got a really young group. of players, and you can talk to them about success and what it means, but until they feel it, it doesn't become real. And I've got no doubt that all those boys tonight, having this feeling, will want this again. And to get it again, they're going to have to make similar sort of sacrifices. They've climbed the mountain now, so they know that what it takes to sort of get to where we are. And I think that does it accelerates the opportunities to build a team that can be successful and competitive at the highest level for years to come. So, as I said yesterday, I still feel there's a lot of work to be done. I think that's quite obvious, but not as much work as people may think. People can bang on about our 20 league defeats and where we are, but they're missing the point of what we're trying to build here, or what I'm trying to do anyway. And I really feel that tonight can be a great platform for us to kick on.
Jack.
You said a minute ago that at the end of the January window you decided full focus on the Europa League. Does that explain the really sort of ruthless, efficient style that we've seen overcome Alkmaar, Frankfurt, Bodo Glimt, and now tonight? And how did you find the players kind of bought into that when that was the plan?
No, that wasn't part of it. But I've always treated, I've had a lot of success in my career, and not just sort of winning leagues, but also, in Australia, I grew up playing finals football to win a championship. So knockout football is always different. All my teams have always played a little bit different in knockout games, because that you got to have a real clear game plan. Big games come down to moments. You've got to limit the moments of the opposition. You've got to change your approach. And the players embraced that, because, that was always going to be our approach in Europe, and it's why we did well in the Carabao Cup as well. We beat some decent teams in the Carabao Cup, including City, including United, and we beat Liverpool in the first leg, played a similar way. But also it helps that I've got Van der Ven and Romero and Vicario and Udogie and Porro, all these guys available. And again, that was part of the sort of mindset of making sure they were available for these big games. And I thought the lads handled the whole Europa sort of knockout stages, brilliantly. Knew what we had to do. Were really efficient with what we did, and I think got the just rewards.
George.
Hi, Ange. Well done. You mentioned a lot of people at the top there. Your dad's no longer with us, but what would he make of his son doing this, and what does it mean back in Australia as well?
Yeah, he's still with me, mate. His voice is in my head all the time, and as I get older, I look in the mirror, I see his face sometimes, which is frightening as it seems. He's with me all the time, mate. My dear mum's in Greece with my sister and my nephews. I'm sure they're over the moon, and it's massive in Australia and in Greece. I've got family in both countries and friends in both countries, and they've been along for the journey the whole way. And it's hard because I'm big enough and ugly enough to take whatever comes my way, but they get hurt when people sort of come at me, and they pay the price, particularly, those closest to me, my beautiful family and my friends, and, they want to defend me. And, I keep telling them it's a small price to pay when you have nights like this. And I've been fortunate. I've had plenty of nights like this, and just seeing them tonight, and I know everyone in Australia, they would have got up early in the morning, they'll be buzzing, and people in Greece, and more importantly, the people here with me, it's another special night we share together.
Tom.
Hi, Ants. Congratulations. You talk about backing your vision. I mean, how does a club let go of a manager who's just delivered them their first trophy in 41 years in European competition?
Look, I think I said yesterday, I'm pretty kind of, not relaxed is not the word, because I'd be disappointed if we couldn't continue on this path. But, like I said, it's not a criticism. I understand why it would be difficult for a club like this to buy into one person's vision. I remember when I signed, it was kind of, the club, I think even Daniel sort of said, we went after winners, it didn't work, and now we've got Ange. And, mate, I'm a winner. I've been a serial winner my whole career. It's what I've done more than anything else, and I know people talk about my football, which I'm very proud of, and I know people dismiss my achievements because, they didn't happen to happen on this side of the world. But for me, they're all hard earned, and all I've done my whole career is win things. And but I understand, look, obviously the way things have gone in the league, people are rightly to be concerned about. Like I said, I don't think there's a true reflection of where we're at. But whatever happens, I said my own sort of belief in what I do doesn't waver, and I'll continue to kind of push on to do what I do.
Ange, well done. It was noticeable at the end, the players were celebrating with unbridled joy. You were standing back quietly. Is that just your style, or was there an element of relief as well?
Oh, there's huge relief. I mean, you ask any manager, and I'm telling you that's the biggest feeling, because you carry the weight of responsibility. I mean, I think this is maybe our 59th game or 60th game this year. That means me and Anthony have been in front of you guys 120 times, plus the extras that we do. I mean, that's probably 150, 160 times I've been a spokesman for this football club this year. And I know everything I say is important. Fair to say I don't always get it right. So all that kind of responsibility weighs on your shoulders. And so it is. It's relief, but also I'm a lot older than those guys, mate, and I've learned to understand that what makes nights like these memorable is to remember them. So I kind of stand back and just watch everyone else enjoy it, and that's all I need.
James, final one, please.
Congratulations, Ange. I know you said you're sort of relaxed about the situation, but can you just give us an idea of what the next few days are like? Is there a meeting planned with Daniel or with the hierarchy? Because you must want some clarity one way or the other.
No planned meetings. I haven't had any discussions. No one's spoken to me about anything. Maybe they felt like they don't need to, or they're waiting for this game. Look, what I do know is that I'm going to go back to my hotel room, get my family and friends together, open up a nice bottle of scotch, have a couple of quiet ones, get ready for a massive parade on Friday, play Brighton on Sunday, really important, our last home game. We want to finish strong, and then Monday I'm going on holidays with my beautiful family, because I deserve it. And que sera, sera.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In the future is I'm not going to talk about the future, because tonight we need to deal with the loss in the pain of losing this match. What I can say that I think was clear, we were the better team, but then we managed not to score again, and that is really hard to win football matches. But the guys tried everything to win the game. The future will have time to assess everything.
Simon.
You've spoken a lot about the lack of goals. Do you regret not doing something in January to try and change that? Do you still believe in the players to deliver goals? Because it looks like you're just never going to score.
There were some times that we didn't create situations. Now is not that time. We are creating situations. If you look at the opportunities that we had, it's different players, so it's not a problem of one guy. We are not scoring goals. The goalkeeper did a great job. So of course I'm confident in my players. It is my job to improve my players, and to arrive in January to make a lot of changes was not possible because all the problems that we have to deal with that. And then I had to assess the team. So the problem is not just one player. We are missing chances with all the players.
Samuel.
Ruben, Alejandro Garnacho did more in his first couple of minutes than Mason Mount did in 70-odd minutes. I appreciate selection calls can be tricky, but looking ahead, do you think you've got to be a bit more proactive with your style of play rather than more pragmatic?
What do you mean?
Well, it feels like Garnacho is more of a goal threat, and I mean, obviously, as I said, it's difficult with selection calls, but he comes on. He has an opportunity. Mason Mount wasn't really involved in.
How many times we had this conversation? It was the opposite. Some players that come in, like Mason Mount against Bilbao, change the game. So now is easy to say who missed the big opportunity in the first half against Bilbao.
Yeah, it was Garnacho.
football is like that. Of course, now it's easy for us to talk about the lot of views. I just look at the game and try to manage things to improve the team and try to win games. So you can see it both ways. So I remember everything about the past. So it's easy for me to respond to that question.
We'll take one on this side here. Okay, but the gentleman at the front, yeah.
Sim, boa noite. Pedro Neves de Sousa, CMTV. Eu pedia-lhe uma palavra para
Yes, a question in either English, Spanish or Basque, please.
Em português?
No, we only have translations for English, Spanish or Basque. So can you ask it in one of those three languages, please?
What do you say to Portuguese people at the moment? And if you want to buy Gyökeres for the next season?
I have to speak for our fans, for English people, and for our supporters of Manchester United. So I have nothing to say to the Portuguese people in this moment. I just have to share the pain with our fans. They deserve better. We try everything. About the future, we will see what we are going to do.
Dave.
Last week you weren't sure whether United were better off in the Champions League or out of the Champions League next season. Obviously now you're not in the Champions League. What impact will that have on you, the players, the club, the whole bigger picture for the club going forward next season?
No, we have two plans, even for the market, and we need to understand that it's tough for a club like ours not to be in the Champions League, but we have to use the other side. So if we have more time, to think, to work on during the week, and to be better in Premier League. That will be our focus.
Hi, Ruben. I appreciate that you don't want to talk about the future, but the season has been quite poor. Obviously, the fans have come here and seen another quite poor performance. Is there anything that you can say to the fans to give them optimism that things are going to be better in the future, starting with next season?
I think I was always really honest with you guys. We didn't perform perfect today, but we were better than the opponent, and the opponent also play. In the second half, we try everything with the center defenders, with the players wide, the crosses, go inside the box. So I think I'm really honest with you guys. So I expect the same. And there are some days that I said that we were really poor. I think today was not the day. We were not perfect. We have a lot to improve, but I think I'm always honest with you guys.
Jamie.
Ruben, when you came in, United were 7 points off a Champions League berth. You're now 27 off fifth, which is obviously a Champions League berth. I mean, very politely, you cannot be happy with that. It's a failure, surely, of yourself and the people who employed you. So how can you be confident that you can turn it around? Because you've had 3/4 of a season, you've just lost this final. I've just given you the statistic about how far you are off a Champions League berth.
We have to see. We have to see. We have to see. And I know everything that you did. I said it before you. So we have to see. In this moment, is really. I'm not going to be here defending myself. It's not my style. I cannot do it. Is really hard for me. So I have nothing to show to the fans and say I'm going to improve because of this. I had these problems. I will not do nothing. So in this moment, is a little bit of faith. So let's see. And like I said before. Coming here in the flash, I'm always open. If the board and the fans feel that I'm not the right guy, I will go in the next day without any conversation about compensation. But I will not quit again. I'm really confident on my job. And as you can see, I will not change nothing in the way I do things.
Last question, Alex.
Ruben, you mentioned that you found it difficult to improve the players, having only just come into the club mid-season. What areas can you point to for improvement? Because I think there's a genuine argument that actually the team's gone backwards in the second half of the season, not forwards.
Yeah, in some moments I don't agree with that. I think we had some bad results. I think we improved in certain areas. We were competitive in more games that we didn't score, and sometimes in the small detail we lost some games. I remember a lot of games. I will not try to Nottingham, Wolverhampton. We had more create more chances against City at our home. We didn't score, and we lost some games. It's a different way of playing. I try to put the players the best I can, try to help them. Was really hard on the players, but I also understand. I'm a young guy, but I also understand that if we had in the chances that we had in the second half, if we managed to score one, the game should be different, and our press conference should be so much different. So I have to deal with that. I understand. I have nothing to show to our fans. I am really honest with that. But again, I will continue to do the things the way I know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll be back shortly with the Tottenham Hotspur press conferences.
For the last few months, or whether it would give you a new future?
A new future for me, I think, is not the case, but it's going to help us to finish the season. People will look at our team in a different way, because winning a European title is really important. But again, nothing is going to change our season. Players know, everybody knows, the staff knows, the fans knows. But winning a European title can help us to have that feeling that can help us to build the future.
More than yourselves tomorrow night. Are you playing for the futures of staff and a much bigger cause?
Again, I think is not the case. We are doing things that we need to do it. But for example, I came from the club that in order to survive and to maintain players, you need to be in Champions League. This is not the case. Our club can have revenues without Champions League. It's a big club. It's a massive club with a lot of fans around the world. It's a big brand. So we just need to be focused and do the things in the right way. So I don't see like that, but I'm always playing for more than myself. I'm coaching for my players, for my staff, and especially for our fans.
Rob.
Training earlier, and Delo and Xerxes. I don't think we were expecting him to be involved when you said he was out for the rest of the season. So what's the situation there?
Me neither. So they recover quite well. They push. Of course, we respect the feeling of the player, but we push a little bit because they wanted to be part of the team, and that is a very, very good sign, and it's very good for us. Of course, they are limited in the minutes for the game, but they can help us to win the game.
Hi, Ruben. Ange Postecoglu has just been in here answering questions about whether he might still be in his job, whatever the result tomorrow. Are you sort of surprised, grateful that you don't seem to be under the same kind of pressure, despite the fact that your team has a similar record to Spurs?
Who told you he's not? He is.
He wants my job. He'll be a very, very good coach, but he has to work on it in his mindset. Doesn't know how to deal with people. No.
This team, for one of your players to make history tomorrow night?
No, obviously we know. We talk about the Europa League, and the Europa League is everything that is in our minds because we play the final tomorrow, and we can be successful in the Europa League in this competition. Obviously, we know in the Premier League we haven't been as good as we want, and all the other cups the same, because our aim is always to get into the end of the competitions and win the trophies. Obviously, as you said, I'm not here thinking that I'm going to be one of the captains lifting the European trophy. Obviously, it's a very good feeling. I'm very proud of it. But at the same time, for me, the main thing is that our team gets to bring the trophy back to Manchester, because everyone will have the time to lift the trophy one at a time or whatever. The main thing is that the red shirts lifting that trophy.
We'll take one over there.
For you and the squad and the club as a whole, that you are back at that kind of top table next year?
It's very important that I think the manager is being very clear with that. We want to be at the top of everything, not only the Europa League, not only the Premier League. We want to be at the top of the FA Cup, Carabao Cup, everything we are involved. This club needs to be fighting for everything we have ahead of us. Obviously, knowing that it's not always possible to be in the finals, it's not always possible to be winning trophies, But our aim and our goal has to be always to be until the end of the competitions, fighting for the possibility of winning trophies, and that's what we want. Tomorrow we have a big chance in a competition where our aim since the beginning of the season was being in Bilbao on the final, and everything we have to focus is that we have a big game, a big final, and a big opportunity to get a silverware.
Samuel.
Date next season. How big does this game compare to other ones so far?
No, every game that you have a chance to win a trophy is very big. But a part of that, every game at this club is massive. As Harry just said, this club is so big that from 1 week you can be the hero and the next one you're the villain. So we just play as a players. We just think of what we have ahead of us, and what we have ahead of us is a chance to get our hands on a trophy. It won't change the past. It won't affect what the past has done to us on tomorrow neither. But what can affect is the future, probably, yes. Obviously, winning a competition gives you more, gives a lot of things. In this case, you get a place in the Champions League. It gets a lot of revenue for the club. It gets obviously more players wanting to come to the club. What I think that at this club, it doesn't change much in that aspect, because I think every player wants to play for Man United, and it's a thing that will never change, because the name of this club, it speaks for himself. But the main thing for us is to focus on what we have ahead of us. That is a massive final against a team that we know very well, but in a competition that is very different of the Premier League. So it's going to be a completely different game.
One at the back.
Week in, week out. Is that a frustration that's shared in the dressing room, and how would you solve that moving forward?
Yeah, of course it's a frustration. I think when you play for this club, you want to win every football match. And this season we've been far too inconsistent. We haven't won enough in the Premier League. It's not been good enough. We know that. The Europa League has been different. We've performed at a high level. And we have proven again this season that we can beat anybody. So, no, I'm sure next season we will improve an awful amount, a full pre-season. And as players, we are looking forward to that. But we've got a big game tomorrow night, and that's first and foremost. And it's a special night. It's a special occasion. And we've prepared well the last few days, and it's one that we're looking forward to.
Once again, after a very toxic beginning.
No, it's amazing to be back in the team and playing regularly. This season I've played a lot of football. But yeah, I think I don't take too much notice of the plaudits from the media and things like that. I think when you play for this club, you can be an amazing player, and the following week you can be the villain. So that's part and parcel of playing for this club. I don't read too much into it. I try and stay as level as I can, and just every game I go into it and try and do my best, and that's only what you can do.
Or pure courage, inspiration or something like that. Thanks.
The manager has me dribbling every day in training up and down the wing. No, listen, I found myself on the wing against Bilbao, managed to put a good cross in, and Casa scored the goal. But no, someone just asked me before that. Obviously, I've gone up front in the later minutes of the game. Tomorrow night, hopefully, I'm not going up front. I don't want to be going up front and chasing a game. I want to be defending a lead from my position in defence. So, no, I'm always there to help. I'm always there to do my best. But like I said, I'm more than happy playing in my favourite position.
Ian.
Matter. Doesn't matter, really. It doesn't matter, because the reality of it is the opportunity is the same for me, and more importantly for the club. I've said before, whatever happens beyond tomorrow is kind of irrelevant when you think about the opportunity that exists right now, and that is to provide something special for this football club and for the supporters and for everyone who's worked so hard, not just this year, but for the last, however years, 15, 16 years been for a trophy, and 41 years for a European trophy. I think that, if I was worried about my tenure at this football club, fair to say we wouldn't be in this position, because I would have been distracted long ago. I'm pretty good at just sort of making sure that all my focus is on, giving this football club the best opportunity it has had for a while to do something special. And whatever happens after that, mate, I'm I'm very, very comfortable that I'll continue on trying to win trophies wherever I am.
The hierarchy in the football club.
My future is assured. I don't like. Wouldn't be the first person who changes jobs, mate. We all change jobs. I'm sure you've had more than one job. My future's assured. I've got a beautiful family. I've got a great life. I'll keep on winning trophies till I finish, wherever that is. So don't worry about my future, mate. My future is not entwined with anything. Right? My future is assured, you know, provided, God willing, my health remains and my beautiful family is beside me and my friends. There's nothing wrong with my future, mate. Don't stress, mate.
I meant specifically.
Sleep easy at night.
I will try.
I'll be okay.
I will try. But I meant specifically at Tottenham. Is there a scenario where you win the trophy and you think, actually, my job is done here?
No, because I don't think my job is done here. We're just, you know, I really feel like we're building something, and what a trophy does is hopefully accelerates that. So I still think there's a lot of work to be done. That's quite obvious with the way we've sort of, you know, the challenges we've had this year, which I think are well chronicled. But you know, I think there's some reasoning in that, in the context of that. But also there's been some growth that I'd like to see through. But you know, whether that happens or not it's not that important right now. But I don't think, no, far from think this job's finished, and I certainly feel like, you know, there's some growth there that we can take this club to where it needs to be.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
That depends on your outlook, Dan, but I'll tell you one thing, irrespective of tomorrow, I'm not a clown. I never will be, mate. And you're really disappointed that you would use such terminology about a person who, for 26 years, without any favours from anyone, who's worked his way to be in a position where he's leading out a club in a European major competition, for you to suggest that somehow us not being successful means that I'm a clown. Not really sure how to answer that question. Yeah, hopefully that 101st blows tomorrow, mate, not on Sunday. It's hard to sort of kind of contextualise sort of the challenges of the last couple of years. I guess from my perspective, you know, I came into the club with some pretty clear objectives about what the priorities were for the club in terms of taking over. Tried as hard as I can to kind of stick to that process of getting the club to a position where, you know, they can challenge for trophies and at the same time rejuvenate a squad and change the playing style. It's been a fair assignment, and without its, you know, plenty of challenges along the way. But I guess with such a sort of big game tomorrow, there is an opportunity to kind of fulfil at least the main task I was sort of given, and that is to bring trophies to the club.
Next season, Champions League.
As you said, great prize. You know the significance of Champions League qualification, what it means for every football club to get into the Champions League. It's you know, there are the obvious benefits, but also you get the opportunity to play against the best in the continent. But the club's been in the Champions League before, hasn't won a trophy for a long time, so that's the most important bit.
To play?
Team U's pretty much the same as last week. No, Lucas isn't available, so pretty much the same as we were as of last week.
Motivate to the younger players in squad.
Yeah, massive to get Sonny back. You know, we were a little bit worried when he picked up the injury because we just weren't sure, you know, how long he was going to be out for. But he worked so hard and to make sure he was back, and really pleased the other night to see him, you know, play 60, 70 minutes, and you could see his sharpness is coming back. But he's so important to the group. He's so important as a leader. He's such an important figure at this football club, and you know, it's a big motivation and driver for all of us, including me, to, you know, to give him a trophy that his career deserves. You know, because again, he's a guy who's come from the other side of the world. Not many players have come from Asia, and it's stayed in the Premier League, the top league in the world, for so long, maintaining that excellence. And it would be great to kind of, cap that off with a trophy for him. But he knows, and we all know that we've still got to do the work. He's been in this position before, obviously with the Champions League final, so he has that experience. I'm sure he'll pass that on to the players.
We've only got time for 2 more, so we'll go. Is it true?
I have to be careful about who I support, because maybe I'll coach in Brazil one day and they'll tell me, and I end up, I don't know, it's Corinthians or something, and it'll cause me problems. Firstly, Richie, so pleased for him because he's had a tough time, Richie, not just this year, but since he's been at Tottenham. He's had some injury problems. He's never really had a stretch of games, but, and it's been very tough on him, both physically but also emotionally. But he's in a really good place now. Physically, he's he's worked really hard on his fitness, and he plays with so much passion and determination. Richie, every time he plays, he just gives 100%. He has quality as well, and it's great to have him in the team. I think for us, he provides something different to our other attacking players. He's already made a big impact for us in the Europa Cup, and particularly in the semi-final. And just really pleased for him that through all the difficult times he's had, he's now in a place where he's fit, he's available, and he's excited about contributing. And I've always loved Brazilian football. I actually played against Vasco da Gama in 1985. They came to Australia, and Roberto Dinamite was playing at the time, and I got his shirt, and I still have it. So every time I visited Brazil, there's always an association with Vasco. Obrigado.